Hello, I'm Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and welcome to my blog, where it is my pleasure as well as mission to highlight my creative journey and the things going on in my life in hopes of inspiring you, giving you some takeaways, and all that. Before I get into it, I would like to take the opportunity to invite you to subscribe. That way you get all the various lessons and episodes that I put out when I put them out. Thank you if you just did, and truly appreciate you if you already were. So, as far as last week, a couple of big developments, I guess. Number one, we started filming portions of a short film that I've been talking about it's a proof of concept that Courtney Stewart came up with. And so we have a little bit of the footage in the can, as they say. I haven't actually reviewed it, but Danielle, who was the director, she oversaw it, and I'm sure it's wonderful. We've got a couple more scenes to do, and the big one coming up is October 18th. That's kind of the stuff that is the foundation of all these little other things, that we've been filming. They'll fit into that. Can't really quite explain what that means, unfortunately, because that would be revealing a little bit, and I'm not at liberty to do that. But nonetheless, October 18th is the big film date, so looking forward to that. But it's exciting that we have already all this other, parts moving forward in a big way, right? So very exciting. So that was good to see. The other sort of creative thing, it's funny when kind of things, you don't necessarily plan for them this way, but everything kind of, it's almost like when one loop closes, another one starts at the right time. And what I mean by this is that last Friday, I finished up the first official draft of the script that I've been working on, In Search of Sunrise. And at the same time, I got some excellent news / finalized something on another project, which unfortunately right now is a little bit confidential, so I can't reveal the details, but in due time I will be able to make the announcement. But it's kind of cool where, a past project that I've been working on, hits a really big milestone, and at the same time, a new project that I'm working towards, I hit a milestone, right? So it's kind of cool that it works out in that way. It wasn't planned that way, but it just timed out that way. And I think one of the things that you have to kind of consider that I recommend to you is always just kind of be pushing the ball forward, right? Now, I'm a big advocate of not overwhelming yourself with projects. I think, stick to just a few that you can manage, that you can give your time to. But like when certain things come to completion, so like with me, my movie, my novel, and all these things, as I get to the end product of them, and it's like, well, I don't need, the time that I was devoting to writing them or making them. Now I can devote to other things, right? And so that time that I was putting into those has been devoted to writing this new script, this new project that I want to make. And so Ryan Holiday talks a lot about this in the sense that, with his book sales, he never gets too caught up in where he ends up on, the ranking of the book sales, because, his mind's already on to the next project. And it's not to say that you can't celebrate those victories, but what he's really arguing is celebrate the stuff that you can control. He can't ultimately control where he ends up in terms of the book sales, but what he can do is put his best foot forward in terms of the book and, try to market it in the best way, right? Those are the things that he can control. And so in a lot of ways, that's what I try to control as well. I did everything that I needed to in terms of the novel, the film, and things of that nature, and the things that are going to be coming with those, are slightly outside of my control. And so when they happen, it's great. But I'm not going to sit around and kind of pray in some sense that things will just come. I'm going to move on to the next project and kind of create my own destiny, if you will, right? And have more projects. That way, one of the things people always ask you, okay, this is cool, and do you have other stuff too in the works? And if you can answer yes, and they like that yes, it's like now you can kind of create some partnerships. And I'm not saying I have that necessarily, but you know, me and James Lott Jr. talked about this on Friday for his show, where, you know, if you're a writer, if you're an actor and all this, and so and you kind of purport that to the world, and someone says, okay, well, let's see some of your work, and if you, it's like, well, I don't have any. It's like, well, you're not really that, right? And so if you're constantly just creating stuff, then you are those things, you know? And so that really is the cool part about doing all, you know, you just, the short message, the long and short is just keep working towards a creative goal. What's interesting, I kind of had a moment of reflection with Idle and In Search of Sunrise, at least in the script writing phase, and it's funny because, you know, I think In Search of Sunrise elevates my skills to the next level in terms of what I'm looking to make. And I have most of it, right? It's not that it's a better movie, it's just, you know, now it's the next logical progression for me. But the one thing that's tough, because there's a lot of intricacy involved, is the ending. I have the final image in mind of how I would love it to end, the feeling and so forth, but I just don't quite know how to get there. Like it's close, and you know, everything earlier than that, I would say like 80% of what I've written is really good, you know, and then about 20% needs to be altered. Now, I could be completely off. I'm just making up numbers based on like just this intrinsic feeling, if you will. But in my mind, they work. But it's the ending that's a little bit tougher, and it's interesting because with Idle, the ending was one of the easier things to write. I always knew like exactly how it was going to end, and for some reason, this is a little bit tougher. You know, they say an ending to something it kind of showcases who you are and what you want to say to the world, and in that sense, you know, I guess I'm still exploring that. The script itself is now with my co-writer Jason Squamata, so if you're kind of just tuning in for the first time hearing about this, like, you know, I came up with the concept, then I got him on board and we finessed the outline together, and then I took a crack at the first draft. And now that I have the first draft entirely written, you know, now he's going to go through and have that clear level head to go through of like, okay, here's what works, here's what doesn't, here's how we can adjust it and so forth, and we can work on the things that we need to, right? So I'm looking forward to his notes. I should be getting them like later today, certainly tomorrow or something like that. So I wish I could share them with you, but unfortunately I can't because I don't have them. But in that time, I'm also, you know, I've kind of planned out already, maybe this is jumping the gun a little bit, but I've planned out a table read, a virtual table read, not with the cast. This is more for story purposes. So I've gotten people that I trust that are producers and filmmakers that I would want to have be part of this movie, you know, on the behind the scenes front. And we're going to do a table read, a virtual table read via Zoom. Now, one of the things that I thought of that I did, I downloaded various pictures of places and people to help highlight, you know, during the table read, I want to bring those pictures up as reference photos. So that way, you know, it helps people imagine the story a little bit more as we're doing it. So hopefully that'll add a little bit of a layer to enhance the kind of table read. You know, we'll see, maybe not, I don't know, but I'm hoping, you know, rather than them just having to imagine, at least it gives us all a jumping off point, so that way at the end of the read, you know, the whole idea is to hear how it all sounds, you know, the dialogue, if there's any clunky dialogue, but mostly it's to get everyone's perspective at the end of like what worked and what didn't, and what can be improved. And by having at least some sort of visual reference, we can be a little bit more on the same page, hopefully, you know. So I'm hoping to do that. And the way, you know, I thought about a lot, because obviously I would screen share in that way. And what I thought to do is I'll screen share a composition output out of After Effects, and, you know, I'll have squares within the comp, and that way I can easily click, it's like squares, and I can easily click the different squares, so one will be a location, and then the others will be, let's say, a major prop, or characters. If it's one character, it'll be just one character, and if it's 2 characters, 3 characters in a scene, you'll have kind of all their pictures up at the same time. So that's how I'm planning to do that. If that helps you, I think, I don't know, I just thought of it. I've never seen someone really do it in that sense, but I think it'll be cool to really enhance the storytelling by having some visuals there. It'd be great to have like storyboards. We're not at that place yet. We're still working on story. But so this hopefully helps. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to overall. Creatively, certainly. Obviously, there's other stuff, but yeah, that's life and things like that. So that's what I got for you today. Just a kind of a quick mini check-in, if you will. I hope that things are going well for you, in your life. If you can manage to be at least a little bit creative every single day, then that's wonderful. If you've got your plate full of other stuff, you know what? Don't sweat it. Don't beat yourself up too hard. Anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I hope to see you next time.